Today on Darth Gerald.
Welcome to another edition of Darth Gerald from Another Point of View. I'm Darth Gerald. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications bell to see future videos. Now, some fans get upset when I talk about Luke Skywalker and anything other than singing his praises. But haha, you know me, no character is safe from another point of view. My point of view. Now, there is so much complexity to the character of Luke Skywalker. He's the moisture farmer turned Rebel Alliance commander. He became the hero. He's the perfect depiction of the term good guy. As we know, Luke grew up on Tatooine under the guardianship of his Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru Lars, Anakin Skywalker's stepbrother and his wife, after being handed over to them by Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That wizard's just a crazy old man.
Obi-Wan watched Luke grow from a distance, awaiting the day he could recruit him. That moment came when the Galactic Civil War showed up at Tatooine. Luke's aunt and uncle were killed, and it was time to press Luke into service. Luke was about 19 years old and never heard of the Force, but was about to get a crash course.
The Force?
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Now, just moments before his uncle's untimely death, due to natural causes, of course, he was arguing with Owen that he wanted to join the Imperial Academy. Imperial Academy. Now a couple smooth words from old Ben Kenobi, and he's on his way to join the rebellion. Flip-flop much? So Luke learns the truth about his father being killed by Darth Vader, then loses his aunt and uncle, and gets fired up to join Obi-Wan on
Some damn fool idealistic crusade like your father did.
Look, the signs were there early on. It's true. Luke showed signs that the dark side of the Force coursed in his veins, the same as his father. He was impatient, he lost his temper easily, he was angry, and man was he whiny. He would argue with his uncle about picking up power converters at Tashi Station. He dismissed himself early from dinner one night, angrily because he couldn't go to the Imperial Academy this year.
Where are you going?
Looks like I'm going nowhere. I have to go finish cleaning those droids.
He kept C-3PO and R2-D2 even though he figured out that they were bought illegally through the Jawas. He got angry at the droids for not playing back the entire message. So off they go to Mos Eisley. It's a wretched hive of scum and villainy. In the cantina, Luke pops off at the mouth a bit, and Obi-Wan kills one man and cuts another man's arm off. What a role model to young Luke. After that mess, Obi-Wan pulls Luke in to meet Chewbacca and Han Solo. Han's price is steep, and Luke again gets upset.
And it's going to cost you something extra. 10,000, all in advance.
10,000? I'd almost buy our own ship for that.
But who's going to fly it, kid? You?
You bet I could. I'm not such a bad pilot myself. We don't have to sit here and listen.
Didn't he learn a few minutes ago that running your mouth in a place like that can get you killed? Nope. And Obi-Wan wants to train him? He must have some real hope in this kid. Maybe he's acting this way because a lot has happened to him in a short time. Nah, it's because he's got the dark side in him. So Luke begins the short version of Jedi training aboard the Millennium Falcon with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Doesn't last long because once they get to the Alderaan system, they see it's blown apart, and there's a big Death Star there. And the Death Star captures them. Aboard the Death Star, Obi-Wan runs into Darth Vader and goes and gets himself killed. Luke and Han finally escape with Chewie, the droids, and their new friend Princess Leia. Once they escape, they meet up with the rebels, then they go in and Luke blows up the Death Star. Boom, into that sequence. A couple of years later, Hoth. The Empire is searching for the rebels, and Vader is searching for Luke.
You found something?
Yes, my lord.
That's it. The rebels are there.
My lord. There are so many uncharted settlements. It could be smugglers, it could be...
That is the system. And I'm sure Skywalker is with them. Set your course for the Hoth system. General Veers, prepare your men.
Admiral.
Geez, did you see General Veers? Close talk much? But we catch up with Luke, and he seems a little bit more mature at this point. At least he has officer rank insignia and is scouting the area of Hoth that surrounds the rebel base for life. Well, he finds some.
You smell something?
More mature? Let's see. Instead of freeing himself from the Wampa's cave, he cuts its arm off and runs. Even Mark Hamill thought this was a bad decision because the Wampa was merely trying to survive, not be evil. Luke could have freed himself and ran instead of disabling the beast, leaving it surely to die slowly. So the Battle of Hoth is imminent. Luke makes out with his sister just before it began, and the rebels are on a massive scale retreat afterward. After fleeing Hoth, Luke separates from his friends and heads to Dagobah to be trained by Yoda as instructed to him by the Force ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Luke ends up crashing into a swamp on Dagobah. He runs into a little green man, and right away Luke draws his blaster and points it at the little green feller. The little green fellow convinces Luke to put it away and immediately begins testing Luke's patience.
Put that down. No, Hey! It's my dinner!
Luke doesn't know it, but this is Yoda. But the little elderly green man convinces Luke that he can take him to Yoda, first to eat in the little weirdo's hut. It doesn't take long before Luke loses his patience and becomes angry.
Come on. How could you know my father? You don't even know who I am. No, I don't even know what I'm doing here. We're wasting our time.
Then Yoda sighs and says,
I cannot teach him. The boy has no patience.
You will learn patience.
Much anger in him. Like his father.
Like his father, the man who turned and helped destroy the Jedi, the same man who killed younglings in the Jedi Temple during a fit of anger, the man Yoda and Obi-Wan knew very well. Yoda sees the same traits in Luke, the same anger, the same impatience, the same delusion of grandeur, and Yoda says he's reckless. However, against Yoda's better judgment, Obi-Wan persuades him to train Luke, as he did with Anakin. So Luke's training begins, running and flipping through the swamp with Yoda on his back, instructing him. Yoda tells Luke to be mindful of the dark side, and Luke says,
Vader, is the dark side stronger?
Is he afraid of the dark side, or subconsciously curious about it? We already know Luke craves adventure and excitement. Yoda sensed it, and Luke proved it by wanting to check out the meteor back on Hoth. Had nothing to do with his mission. Adventure and excitement are not light side traits or desires. During his time with Yoda on Dagobah training, he says things like, "You ask the impossible," and "I don't believe it," when Yoda lifts the X-Wing from the swamp. Doubt, anger, and frustration, all thoughts and emotions that lead to the dark side. Luke doesn't seem to regret it nor fight it either. But one of the biggest moments Luke shows his inner nature is when he feels the cave. Yoda tells him, "Your weapons, you will not need them." Luke defies Yoda and takes his weapons anyway. He encounters Darth Vader, or a visual manifestation of the Dark Lord. Luke draws his lightsaber first, a weapon meant for defense, never attack. He rends Vader's head from his body, the face mask breaks away, and Luke's face is behind it. Luke failed that trial. The meaning of his face in the helmet? Continue down this path, and the dark side will consume him. Luke may as well be Vader, because he's acting just like Anakin. Luke's next failure comes when he sees a vision of his friends suffering. Against Yoda's wishes again, he leaves his training to help them, leaving these words, "I will return, I promise." Luke just showed disobedience, distrust in the Force, a lack of focus, and impatience. Also, again, he's off on adventure, and his promise to return sounded more like a child promising to clean their room after they go outside to play. Empty. When Luke arrives at Cloud City, a Tabana gas mine on Bespin, he sees Imperials, along with Boba Fett, taking his friends away, then runs face to face with Darth Vader, the real Darth Vader this time.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
Luke learned nothing from the cave and draws his lightsaber first. Again, they fight for a while. Vader lops off his hand and tells him what happened to Anakin.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
It's not true.
Luke had just displayed outright hatred, anger, and lack of focus throughout that entire fight. He has been beaten by his own emotions and impatience to complete his training. He was unable to help his friends. They are nowhere around. He is alone and stuck between a giant pit and Darth Vader's lightsaber. Luke resigns himself to the pit of Cloud City, another failed trial. If you like this video, subscribe now and hit the bell to turn on notifications. Leave a comment as to why you like Star Wars. When you do that, along with subscribing, it enters you in a chance to win a Star Wars Funko Pop figure once I reach 100 subscribers. Good luck, and may the Force be with you, always.